Well, as usual, we're not getting a good sense of what's going on in Pakistan through the minimalist and brief reports that we're getting through TV news, or even in fact through the newspapers too. There's a tremendous amount of internal turbulence going in Pakistan, which is at best a very fragmented and unstable country. And what's happening now in Pakistan, very depressing spectacle. We've seen it so many times, and that is that the U.S. seizes upon the leadership of a country and it arm twists them or bribes them or cajoles them or threatens them into doing what Washington wants. So Musharraf has completely isolated himself in in Pakistan. He's seen by most of his people as a tool of the United States. And if it weren't for the fact that the U.S. has sent in $3 billion and spread it around in Pakistan, there would be a lot more ferment going on. There's no doubt that there's enormous sympathy for both Taliban and for Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. And the two are not identical forces philosophically or functionally. Taliban really had nothing to do with Osama bin Laden's plans to attack the United States and launch a reign of terrorism. For them, he was just a hero of the struggle against the Soviets, and that's why they didn't want to give him up. Afghan hospitality. But today, in ISI, Pakistan's intelligence service, which I know very well because every time I go to Pakistan, I would get a briefing from the Director General of ISI, and I followed everything they did from the Afghan war in the 80s. Even though ISI has been repeatedly purged by Musharraf, that there's still within its ranks very strong sympathy for bin Laden. And I believe that if bin Laden is in fact in the tribal territories along the Afghan border, the reason he has not been caught is A, because all the people there love him and adore him, and secondly, because he's always been warned off and supported by the ISI. And, you know, that's a remarkable statement, considering there's a $25 million price on his head, and I'm sure the U.S. would pay quadruple that, particularly before an election, if they could get him. But that's a testimony to the loyalty in which people hold, the faith in which they hold bin Laden, if he's there. But in Pakistan, there's just growing anger against the United States. And this is dangerous because the U.S. was loved in Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan was the oldest and most faithful American ally. And the United States has turned against Pakistan. Certainly at the end of the Afghan war, when Pakistan was no longer needed, the U.S. threw it aside like a piece of garbage. So there's resentment in Pakistan, and it is dangerous. Pakistan does have a nuclear arsenal. They have about 40 nuclear weapons, which is under very tight ISI and Army control. But you know, things can happen. General Musharraf, or President Musharraf, as he styles himself, is one car bomb away from eternity. And if he goes, you could see a major change in Pakistan, because normally another pro-American general would have simply taken power, but there's such anger at the United States right now that you may get a definite change. The CIA gave Musharraf a list of people and told, get them out, retire them. So anybody accused of sympathy for Islam or for the Taliban or not being sufficiently pro-American has been purged out of the army. And the Director General of ISI, who I knew, General Mahmoud, ferocious and capable man, was purged at Washington's orders. And so there are only yes men now in the senior echelons. But in the lower down echelons, there you have seething anger at Musharraf. Same thing happened in Egypt. The U.S. purged the Egyptian army or U.S. got Sadat to purge the Egyptian army of anybody who was considered non-cooperative, and they put in yes men too. And what happened, a low-ranking officer and some sergeants and things came and assassinated Sadat. So I would say the same thing is in Pakistan. They're there, but they're in lower ranks in the army. But then you have all these retired generals who are ready to jump back given the opportunity. The Pakistanis are a proud people. And, you know, deep down, they're also afraid that the United States may one day, if the Pakistanis don't cooperate, the Americans have threatened to say, well, if you don't play ball with us or play cricket with us, we're going to unleash the Indian Army against you. Then see what happens. There are long-standing plans for the Israel and the United States and India, or in some combination thereof, to surgically destroy Pakistan's nuclear infrastructure. The Israelis for sure, and we know that President Bush talked about it 2 months before launching the attack on Iraq. Bush said to Tony Blair that he planned to go on and attack Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. And that should have signaled a warning to the Pakistanis right there that their nuclear program was in the crosshairs. Some Pakistanis are angry that the United States is backing a military dictatorship. That old song, I mean, it's as true now as it was back in the 1950s. And the U.S. is totally hand in glove with General Musharraf, who's described as a statesman in Washington. I don't know why Saddam Hussein was always called a dictator, but Musharraf is called a statesman. And he's wined and dined in Washington. He's given $3 billion. A lot of Pakistanis are angry about this, but they're angry about issues that enrage Muslims. Kashmir, Chechnya, the United States has been backing the Russian position, the Russian genocide. I don't use that, I hardly ever use that word. The Russian genocide of the Chechen people has been assisted not only by the Bush administration, but by the Clinton administration as well. And the Muslim world remembers this. They are angry over Palestine, they're furious over Iraq, they're furious over the American invasion of Afghanistan. And the one great thing that the United States did in rescuing the Muslims of Bosnia and Kosovo from ethnic cleansing or potential genocide by the Serbs, the Americans finally came in and saved them, has unfortunately never received much recognition in the Muslim world, as it should, but it hasn't. So there's tremendous anger at the U.S. And then look, the Pakistanis, Arabs, Turks, you name it, they're really angry not so much at the United States, but they're angry at the Bush administration. Because President Bush and President Cheney and Vice President Bush, as I say, every week seem to go out of their way to antagonize the Muslim world and to do something to infuriate the Muslim world. And the people are mad as hornets out there. The Democratic Party has a great share of responsibility for this problem because in the past, really until recent years, until the days of the Reagan administration or even the Bush administration, the Democrats were so close to the Israelis that the Democrats were viewed as the party of the Israelis in the States, and the Democrats were constantly advocating policies favorable to Israel, or that Israel wanted. This put the United States in obvious antagonism with the Arab world, namely over the Palestinian issue. And the Democrats did nothing to ameliorate the situation in the Muslim world, except the only thing that I could point to is President Clinton's rescue of the Balkan Muslims. But then we have Madeleine Albright, who came along, and when asked about the fact that 500,000 Iraqis had died of starvation and sickness and disease because of the U.S. imposed embargo on Iraq, her famous reply was, well, it's a price worth paying. So, and you know, over the Iraq war, the Democrats share a tremendous responsibility because their total inaction, their cowardice, their running for cover, their hiding and ducking and dodging this issue was absolutely contemptible. And they continue to do it. There have been very few Democrats who have any guts to come forth and oppose unjust war in Iraq. If we have to rely particularly on North American TV and news to guide us in our worldview and to guide our foreign policy, we're in serious trouble. Just look around the world now. Look at the mess we're in Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, our media today, as I often say, I covered the Soviet Union in the late 1980s. Our media today reminds me of the old Soviet media. Party line, do what you're told, support what the government says, wave the flag when you're told to, and clap at the right time. And the media is not informing, it is misinforming us. And I think that's a great tragedy because it threatens the democratic foundations of our country.